The skies have darkened once again for Boeing, and this time, it's more shocking than ever. In a surprising move, the American aerospace giant has just lost yet another loyal customer to none other than its fiercest rival, Airbus. In fact, this might cause a consequence that threatens Boeing's destiny. Not only that, Airbus is quietly retaliating against its longtime American rival with an unbelievable policy. So, who has a bold move when to abandon Boeing for Airbus? What is the European aircraft manufacturer plotting? Let's dive in. When an airline that has stayed loyal to one aircraft maker for many years suddenly switches to that manufacturer's competitor, this always draws major attention from the aviation industry. And this May, Airbus is the name in the spotlight after securing a major breakthrough. For the first time in history, Royal Air Maroc, RAM, the national airline of Morocco, is set to introduce Airbus aircraft into its fleet, officially ending Boeing and ATR's long-standing monopoly within the carrier's operations. According to reports from French media, Airbus has been selected as one of the two main suppliers in RAM's fleet expansion strategy. Airbus has been retained as one of Royal Air Maroc's two suppliers. French aircraft will indeed wear the colors of Morocco's national airline, a close source confirmed. This is seen as a symbolic turning point in the country's aviation history, with an official announcement expected in the coming weeks. Back in April 20th, 2024, this airline revealed it was in the process of evaluating proposals from Airbus, Boeing, and Embraer in preparation for an order of nearly 200 aircraft, primarily single-aisle mid-range models, along with a smaller number of long and short-haul types, aimed at meeting rising travel demand and strengthening its position in the African market. At present, it operates a fleet of 52 aircraft, the majority of which are built by Boeing, serving around 50 airports across the continent. With this latest development, it's clear the race for this major contract is nearing its conclusion, and the European aircraft maker appears to be in the lead as part of Royal Air Maroc's ambitious growth strategy. But why did the airline choose Airbus? RAM's decision to partner with Airbus for the first time marks a break from a traditional relationship that has lasted decades with Boeing, the manufacturer that has long been the backbone of its current fleet, from the narrow-body 737 to the wide-body 787. For industry watchers, this is a major turning point. Not only has Airbus broken into what was once a Boeing stronghold, but the European manufacturer now also has the chance to solidify its position in one of the fastest-growing aviation markets in Africa. Second, this move reflects a shift in RAM's operating strategy at a time when regional travel demand is rising sharply. To support its expansion goals, this operator needs a fleet that is flexible, fuel-efficient, and cost-effective, all qualities that Airbus aircraft are known for. From the A320neo for mid-range routes to the A330neo and A350 for long-haul operations, the European aircraft maker offers aircraft better suited to the airline's rapidly growing route network. Not only that, compared to Boeing's narrow-body models, the A320neo is often rated more highly for its fuel efficiency, thanks to aerodynamic improvements and next-generation engines. In the wide-body segment, the A330neo and A350 are favored by many airlines for their ability to balance investment cost with operational performance, a crucial factor for carriers like RAM that are in expansion mode. Third, beyond technical considerations, incorporating Airbus aircraft into the airline's fleet also allows the airline to reduce reliance on a single supplier, strengthen its negotiating position for future contracts, and minimize supply chain risks, an issue that disrupted many airlines in the aftermath of the pandemic. The competition between Boeing and Airbus is no longer confined to traditional markets. It is now unfolding clearly in Africa, where RAM plays a key role in regional connectivity. This isn't simply a normal trade. It is a calculated, strategic move in the global chess game between aerospace giants. At Airbus's third annual summit held in Toulouse this March, the declaration by Wouter van Wersch, Executive Vice President for International at Airbus, as a statement of geopolitical influence, Morocco is a key partner in Airbus's global development strategy. It was no coincidence that the European aircraft manufacturer chose this moment to emphasize Morocco's role. According to Van Wersch, the enormous growth potential in aviation makes this North African country an indispensable anchor in Airbus's ambitions to expand across the African continent. In fact, this aircraft maker already holds a commanding 70% share of Morocco's aviation sector, generating over €1 billion in revenue in 2023. But the company's ambitions go far beyond numbers. This past April, the manufacturer made a bold move by spending $439 million USD to acquire Spirit Aerosystems' manufacturing facility in Casablanca, a 25,000 square meter complex where 800 workers are directly involved in producing critical components for the A220 and A321 aircraft. From belly beams and rudder struts to complex aerodynamic structures, every part built here is an integral piece of Airbus's global production machine. Beyond financial investment, the company has pledged to rely entirely on local Moroccan labor, a symbolic act reflecting deep confidence in the country's industrial capabilities. This is not just about investment, it's about technology transfer, skills development, and laying the groundwork for long-term cooperation. As diplomatic relations between France and Morocco begin to thaw after a prolonged chill, a new wave of economic collaboration is rising, and Airbus is among the first to ride that wave, armed with a clear strategy and a vision that extends well beyond the bounds of conventional contracts. And as a result, this has a serious effect on Boeing. Royal Air Maroc is not just a national airline. To the strategic world, it's the extended arm of Morocco reaching out to global financial, political, and cultural centers. And when such a significant customer, one that has been tightly bound to Boeing, suddenly decides to partner with Airbus, it's no longer just a simple transaction. It's a serious warning sent to Seattle. Boeing no longer dominates this market exclusively. RAM has long been Boeing's stronghold in North Africa, where the 737 and 787 have been emblematic of the deep connection between the two. But now, that very stronghold has fired the first shot in a redivision of the African market, where Airbus is gradually gaining the upper hand with a vision that extends far beyond short-term profits. Instead of merely selling aircraft, Airbus is building factories, training workers, and establishing supply chains. They are not here to sell, they are here to stay. Moreover, this might create a domino effect. In a continent where urbanization and aviation growth are projected to double over the next 2 decades, this operator is leading the charge. And once the leader changes direction, smaller airlines in the region, closely watching RAM's every move, will likely follow suit. Boeing is no longer just losing a deal. They're facing the potential loss of an entire market. Not only that, for a long time, Boeing was accustomed to being the undisputed leader. With a legacy from the 747 to the 777, with a loyal customer base stretching across continents, the company seemed untouchable in the eyes of many airline executives. But the truth has shifted, and the airline's move is like a death knell ringing out from North Africa, where Boeing thought it was safe. For nearly a decade, Boeing has been struggling with self-inflicted crises, from the 737 MAX disaster and Dreamliner production errors to ongoing labor shortages. They've not only lost trust, but have also failed to craft a consistent global strategy. Meanwhile, Airbus has quietly advanced through industrial diplomacy. They've invested in Casablanca, created jobs for thousands of local workers, and turned Morocco into a critical manufacturing hub in their global value chain. The RAM deal is not a betrayal, but a consequence. When a once loyal customer like Morocco is forced to turn away, it reveals that Boeing's system has decayed deeper than they're willing to admit. And as their allies begin to fracture, Boeing's global game will inevitably follow suit like a domino effect, a silent process, but one that can't be reversed. Do you think this signals that Boeing is gradually losing the African market to Airbus? Let us know your thoughts. Another news, a new front is opening in the global battle for aerospace supremacy. And this time, it's not about engines or fuselages, but taxes. In recent weeks, tariffs have erupted into a blazing issue, shaking the foundations of an industry already stretched by post-pandemic recovery and geopolitical volatility. The aviation sector is now scrambling to adapt to U.S. surcharges that ripple through the aerospace supply chain, piling on costs and injecting friction into once smooth, duty-free transactions. Boeing, already reeling from supply chain disruptions and delivery delays, now faces retaliatory headwinds from China. Meanwhile, U.S. aerospace giants, including engine maker General Electric, a key supplier to both Airbus and Boeing, are lobbying feverishly to dismantle the tariff walls before they harden into long-term damage. But across the Atlantic, the battle is about to begin. Guillaume Faury, CEO of Airbus SE, has made his position crystal clear. Europe will not sit idly by. If talks with the U.S. fail to dismantle the latest wave of tariffs, then Europe must respond with equal force. Europe is in negotiations, he declared at an event in Paris, and if these negotiations do not lead to a positive outcome, I imagine that, and this is what we hope for. Reciprocal tariffs on aircraft will be imposed to force a higher level of negotiation and return to the 1979 agreement. This would be good for both the US and European industries. Faure was referencing the WTO Civil Aircraft Agreement, a pact that for over 40 years shielded the aerospace industry from the turbulence of import taxes. Though he did not name Boeing outright, the implication was unmistakable. The American plane maker, a dominant exporter to Europe, would likely bear the brunt of any retaliatory tariffs targeting US-made aircraft. Faure stopped short of demanding direct policy action from the EU, where Airbus is headquartered in Toulouse, France, but the message resonated across Brussels and beyond. The patience of European leaders is wearing thin. Tensions escalated further when the US, under President Donald Trump's administration, slapped a 10% tariff on imports from the EU and other major trading partners like the UK, aiming to force more favorable trade terms. Airbus has already begun to feel the sting, watching in frustration as European governments hold their fire, effectively shielding Boeing from retaliatory duties. But now, the winds may be shifting. According to a Tuesday report by Bloomberg News, the European Union is preparing a counterstrike, a sweeping tariff package worth up to €100 billion on American goods, aircraft included, if no resolution is reached. Speaking as head of the French Aerospace Industries Association, Faure warned that Europe's own regulatory burdens must also be addressed. We need to simplify rules, he urged, to unleash innovation, attract investment, and sharpen our competitive edge.